Oh my God. This is too crazy. Crazy shot. And so it's kind of. Yeah, so please.
This is just, you don't have an option.
You got it right there.
Yeah, man.
Felicity, why did you decide to take the plea? Are you concerned about going to jail, Felicity?
Yeah.
It's great television. But let's talk about your family first. How old are your kids?
They are 13 and 15 now, and I am still enjoying them. Can you believe it? And they're great. I really enjoy them. You know, there's that teenage high and low, and you kind of surf it, but I'm really used to it. I love women. I grew up in a huge house full of women, so I'm like, oh yeah, you're hysterical now. I get it. Oh, now you're really sad. Oh, now you're really happy. I'm like, cool, bring it.
Yeah, and it's tough because they're smart. So there's a lot of emotion and a lot of.
Yes.
Was there a time you stopped and then enjoyed them again, or?
You know, in all honesty, I did not really enjoy them until they hit about 7 or 9.
Really, they were.
I know, isn't that like you're not allowed to say that? But yes, they're great, and I love them and stuff. But so now,
they're cute, and that helps. That's when they were. That's when you didn't like them. Remember those were the years.
We want to give our condolences on the passing of your father.
Thank you. Yeah, it was hard, but I think I had to like keep going and keep working. I still to this moment don't really feel like it's hit me, you know. But you know, any time someone loses a parent, it's.
I know he's proud of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is. I'm really, really.
Today is a shameful day. It's shameful for me and for my family.
Martha Stewart was confident and defiant when she spoke after her sentencing. She stood tall and looked directly into the camera as she recalled her stock scandal.
What was a small personal matter became over the last 2 years an almost fatal circus event of unprecedented proportions. I have been choked and almost suffocated to death during I would like to thank everybody who stood by me, who wished me well, waved to me on the street like these lovely people over here.
Like packing up, getting in a car, and heading to prison, but yet you're still concerned about meeting your daughter's bedtime and what story you're gonna. I mean, that is the truest reflection of a mother to the very last second. Saying your prayers. Which daughter was it the hardest for that night?
I have to say, Gabriella, my second daughter. Yeah, she was like hysterical. Like I'm gonna cry. She was like hysterical. She was, you know, I guess, you know, I think she knew because you know she's pretty smart. My daughters are really smart. They are, and she was just. When she was crying, she was like hyperventilating when she was crying. She, like I never saw her cry like that before, and she was like, she couldn't.
But you know, you may not have more than 2 albums, but you write hit after hit after hit. Every song that you write, everyone knows your music. Everyone sings along to your songs. You have beautiful, beautiful songs. And what I could not believe, and I didn't talk about this with you backstage, but it's hurtful because there were people that were saying.
Well, we just started rehearsing 2 nights ago, and you know, you never really know what you're gonna expect. But when we got out there was a lot of things that happened, just like the microphone turns into a popsicle, and all these things that you don't really think about going into it. But I'm grabbing the mic and it's frozen. When we got the phone call, they were like, "Hey, we love, you know, on these things we love to raise the stakes and have, you know, you can have another artist there with you. Would you like to do something like that?" And the first band I thought of was the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I've been a fan of theirs.
Hard partying, and in 1979, a cocaine bust which landed him in prison for 2 years.
Don't ever sell drugs to policemen. They don't like it. They tend to tell judges. People come get you, and then you eat very bad food for a long time.
What do you think is the most important thing you learned?
I'm a survivor, number one. I know how to survive. My sense of humor clearly is my ally.
So in a certain sense, comedy saved you.
Always.
Yeah. But you're also was one of the greatest stand-ups I've ever seen, and that's how I first got to know you and see your act and stuff. So now you're also booked everywhere.
Yeah, because I didn't know the show was on, so we did a 44-city tour, and then the show gets picked up, and I'm going, how am I going to do all this? The only other guy that does this is Leno. I mean, Leno works
He's the machine. He's the greatest.
I've never seen anybody. What do you do? What am I going to do? I gotta go out. How do I afford all these cars? You never drive the cars. So it's nuts.
You
He's
don't
on
have
my
time
show.
to drive him,
We get him on my show sometimes.
Yeah.
He used to be on his show, this show.
Do you still love doing stand-up?
I love it.
In the 10 days Paul McCartney has been detained for bringing a half-pound of marijuana into Japan, the police have had a constant crowd control problem. Crowds of photographers ruining each other's shots, and crowds of overwrought young fans pushing for a glimpse. Although Japan very strictly prohibits marijuana, it didn't dampen McCartney's standing with the fans. McCartney claimed the marijuana was for his own use and is said to have shown...
Very good.
Very good?
Yeah, good guys.
After 10 days in jail, McCartney met his children on the plane. He was interviewed on the flight to Anchorage.
Why did you bring...
McCartney expressed regret over the marijuana.
Now, you're such a nice guy, and you've always been known as a nice guy, but you've been in jail twice.
Twice? Yeah, that's right. You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Well, no, I'm interested. So one was for marijuana.
One was for marijuana, yeah, into Japan.
Well, you were taking marijuana into Japan.
And I didn't know I was. I'm honest,
sure.
My lord. I still am hazy as to how that happened, but it did.
Yeah.
And in my suitcase, yes, there was some marijuana in the suitcase, and I ended up in jail.
How long were you in jail?
9 days.
Oh my God.
Scary. Yeah, it was scary. You know, it was the craziest thing.
I was gonna say, you get married again one day, man?
I thought this was an interview.
Next question.
Why are you asking me bullshit?
Football, Green Bay Packers. Why?
Yeah, Green Bay Packers. I'm a Brett Favre fan. I was a huge Brett Favre fan. And like I said, I'm loyal. Been a cheesehead. They came to the Super Bowl. That's what happened. They came to the Super Bowl in the Superdome, like I think 95 or 96. And my dad, the late Rabbit, my dad, yeah, he went to that Super Bowl, and he came home like with. I was a kid, so he came home with a whole bunch of stuff for me, like towels and cups, and and I think Green Bay, and it was all Green Bay. Whether they won or not, it was all Green Bay stuff. So from that point on, I was a Green Bay fan, and. The Saints wasn't too good, so it was cool. You needed, at that time, as a Saints fan, you needed another team to be a fan of.
Like, can you talk a little bit about that book?
I'm not writing a book.
Okay, maybe clarify that.
What happened is they making a book of, I kept a quote unquote like a journal or something when I was in there.
Yeah.
And it was only I did that for myself. Just because I wanted to hear shit that you used to be so bored in there, so you do all kind of shit you didn't think you'd do. So I start writing shit down every day. And so, Taz, my man, he thought it'd be a good idea. It's like, man, if you don't mind, like, if you could give me those shits that you wrote every day, I could make a book out of that. People want to see that. And I was like, honestly, Taz, I ain't do nothing. I was like, it literally would just be like, yeah, I went to the day room today, played cards, I whipped a nigga ass in Uno.
Mine was a combination of the two. Depending on what I was going through, sometimes I'd be really depressed and really stressed out and down in the dumps, and I didn't want to write anything. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see anybody, nothing. I just felt devastated. Like, this is it. Like, the last thing on my mind was writing a rap or a song or recording in the future. Like, and then there were times where I was all right,
Once you were released, how long did it take for you to get back into the studio?
I went to the studio literally like an hour after I was home. I went
wow.
home.
What?
Yeah, I went home, I took a shower, I changed my clothes, and I went right to the studio. I was in there with DJ Khaled.
Had to get it out of here.
I was like, I don't want to have that time period where I'm adjusting and then I never, really, I'm like, I'm going right now. And I went that day, we made the remix to his song, and it was great. And
how was it getting back into the studio?
It was a little bit different because I put on the headphones. As y'all see, I have like this like female Barry White thing going on.
I like it.
So like as
Today marks 1 year behind bars for Bill Cosby, someone who hasn't visited even once. Cosby's wife of 55 years, Camille.
My father was a Teamster and truck driver. My mom worked odd jobs. I'm the youngest of 9 kids. Because my parents worked so hard just to provide, I had a lot of time to myself, and most of that time I spent running around the streets, getting a street education. I left school at an early age. I quit school at 13. Ended up getting into a lot of trouble, being incarcerated, tried as an adult at 16, 17. And that was a big wake-up call for me, Father. So I decided, you know what, I needed to turn my life around. And a lot of people go to God, especially when they get in trouble. And, when I heard the jail doors close behind me, I started praying right away. But I knew that that was just the beginning for me because I knew I really wanted to turn my life around. And I made a commitment at that day, but it was still, it's still every day. It's a process, That's why I start my day every day by getting.
South Florida rapper facing the music in a Fort Lauderdale courtroom today.
2 weeks later, she also said she emailed Kodak Black's manager threatening to sue the rapper for monetary damages. Since being in jail after he violated his probation, the rapper's career has continued to soar, having a top 10 hit and seeing a groundswell of support from fans. Dyson Octave, better known as rapper Kodak Black, turned down an offer from the state of 8 years in prison for an alleged battery and probation violations. As family and reps from his label Atlantic Records looked on in the courtroom, his probation officer detailed how the rap star.
Going through the system, what are your thoughts on prison?
I think prison is just, it's very challenging, man.
Really?
It's hard.
Right.
It's something it's hard for me to even describe it. Like, people say it changed me for the better, and I grew a lot in prison, but it's a terrible place to be.
Yeah, it ain't no place to be. I've been there too. It ain't no fun.
No fun.
And you can't leave. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. You can't go record. You
It's
can't.
like torture.
Yeah, you can't do the things that you love to do.
Like, being like in a situation like that where you go into a system where a lot of people know who you are.
Yeah.
And here you are trying to collect your thoughts and just try to figure out how you trying to move in life.
Yeah.
How did you ward off so many different energies? Because I'm pretty sure you got people like running up on you, I could rap. Or you got people who like just walk up to you reciting your lines because they a fan. And, how did you process all that and deal with it?
Man, it was hard. It was hard. It was so much animosity, tension, groupie stuff going on in that prison. Violence, death, killing.
From the officers too.
I'm surprised I made it out of there.
Yeah.
57 days out of 60, and we are 6 months into this sentence. Miss Lohan's actions deliberately made it impossible for her to perform her sentence at the
What is your drug of choice or drugs of choice?
Alcohol. Yeah. Because that in the past was a gateway to other things for me.
Other things like?
I'd never abused, I tried cocaine with alcohol. And I'd never
That's
done
when you
those
were
things
arrested
without
the first time, correct?
Yeah, possession. I had it.
Possession, yes.
And
then I read that you said that you really hadn't done cocaine but 3 or 4 times.
I really hadn't done it. I really haven't done it more than 10 to 15 times. Of course, I said 3 or 4. I was terrified of being judged.
So what is the truth?
I've done it like 10 to 15 times.
pending a hearing. I am also setting bail at $100,000. And Ms. Lohan, if Ms. Lohan bails out, she is to immediately, before the next hearing, if she wants to mitigate any potential sentence, if she's found in violation, do a minimum of 16 hours at the morgue. And that's 2 days a week between now and the hearing date.
Your Honor, the bail bondsman is here. So can she remain?
No, take her into
Can she
custody.
remain here in this?
It's up to the sheriffs. I don't tell sheriffs where to put people. I'll see everybody back here November 2nd. People have your ducks lined up. I want witnesses if you're gonna have a hearing, unless you have some sort of stipulation that both of you have reached prior to that date.